Welcome to House of a Thousand Books, your hit book club for horror books and all things scary that aren't
Brave.
Stephen King. I am one of your hosts, Brody Jacob Gora, as we were discussing earlier.
Wow.
You guys want to
Whole
introduce
government
yourself
out there. Okay.
for all to see. Who else do we have on this call?
I am Gabby Chin, and that's all of my name you're gonna get from me. Welcome back to apparently the well-acclaimed top number one for book club of the year.
It's hey, Steph here.
And it is I, Stephen, Jonathan, Jacob, Brody Gora, Vincent, Demardis, other co-host of the Emmy, Tony, and Oscar. Wait, what else do you need from EGOT? EG. What did I miss? Grammy
Yeah.
Award nominated, not won. We almost won. We almost had it. Podcast, House of a Thousand Books. We're
Who
all
went instead
here
of
as we
us?
always are. Who won instead of us? Fucking I was told not to say anything bad or don't say anything at all, so it's not guessing.
But it was Mark Maron.
Who? And we're here to discuss our May book club pick in the middle of June.
Well, the book we're reading this month is A Head Full of Ghosts by Paul Tremblay. I had bought this a really long time ago. I think because we had chosen it a long time ago, like far out in advance, but I've been really excited to get to it because it's been sitting on my shelf for a long time, and I really didn't know much about it going into it. So
Has anyone ever read Paul Tremblay before?
no, that's my first.
Nope.
Mm-mm.
I would though. I would read again. I'd read.
Oh,
his
that
stuff
was going to
again.
be my next question. So
Oh.
I bought Cabin at the End of the World and this book together. And then I read Cabin at the End of the World and I liked it. I thought it was pretty cool. I have to say, no spoilers, but I enjoyed A Head Full of Ghosts a lot more. And I am very excited to check out more of his stuff.
So A
I'll
Head
give
Full
you
of
the-
Ghosts follows this girl named Mary who is recounting her life to a journalist about her time when her sister was being followed by a TV crew for her sister's exorcism. And it's her when she's about like 6 years old. She's recounting this. I love the narration of it. She says like sometimes, like, I don't talk about this often, but sometimes when I do, I get lost in it. Like I feel like I'm reliving it. So the details in this book are absolutely amazing. I was enthralled by it. Yeah, we follow everything kind of leading up to the first signs of the show being created to the filming of it all the way to the end, and then a couple months afterwards. That's what we get. In between there, it's in three parts, and in between each part they have a blog post for, it's called The Final Girl, I think. And you find out that it's, spoiler alert, Mary who's writing it, and it kind of like shows her side to it, all her knowledge with horror and everything like that. It's very interesting to read.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into this. I really love this book. I don't know about you guys.
For me, one of my like absolute favorite parts was just the way that it was told. Like I think you mentioned when you were saying that, Gabby, like from the perspective of Mary, not even from her as a little girl, but also getting like other pieces of her life, like when she's older, and also just seeing how everything has affected her was just really great. And also at the same time, like being told, I can't remember exactly how old she was, maybe like 6 or
Mm-hmm.
it's just like written very like scarily well for like that kind of mind of like someone who was there and experienced all this, but obviously didn't know everything that was going on or even could pick up on everything that was really going on, even though it was happening right in front of her. Yeah, and if we're ready for a question, I had a question for you guys because I thought that, or I guess I just, how much do you think that everything has kind of like influenced her as a person? Like, I think it when in her blog post she shows her like knowledge of horror and like media, and so like that as a way of shaping the way that she remembers her childhood. Um, because she was a young child and it's easy for those memories to kind of change with age. So do you think, yeah, her like consumption of like horror and stuff, like being a fanatic about that stuff became like influenced the way that she saw her childhood?
Yeah, no, like what was really interesting for me on that same point was that you're seeing this woman, because obviously Mary is like reflecting on her childhood pretty much the whole novel, like retelling all these events that happened. So like you're seeing what became of this young girl who witnessed a very horrific event, but you're also seeing what became of this young girl who had like her childhood on TV. Like what happened to just the fact that she was on a platform at such a young age, and like how that like fucked with her psyche as well, in addition to like what she witnessed was going on. So I thought that was a really interesting choice by Paul Tremblay, and just it was really fucking cool.
Well, not because Brody, you had said like, oh, like when she's old, when as she gets older, her memory is probably like shifted and changed, or she like remembers only like bits and pieces of it. But like she essentially had like a very major family event completely filmed. Like she doesn't
True.
have to guess how it went. Like she, like her memory doesn't ever have to falter because she'll like it was recorded.
But it was
Yeah.
a reality show. Like her memories are only as good as how that show was edited, right?
Also,
Like yes, they
Right.
filmed it.
they she also mentions that later on where they're doing the confessionals and they're looking back on it, and she mentions it. She says that she she remembered the interview happening in real life and then watching it on TV and seeing how they showed the mom as being the one who was like,
Hmm.
this is impossible, whatever, I'm a doubter, was always just
Yeah.
emotionally disconnected when that wasn't the case. And that the father was like the one like trying to like get the family together. And like later on, that twist of, the falling of, it really is about the falling of the father, which I thought was absolutely amazing, and I want to reread it with that in mind.
Mm-hmm.
You she knew that it was a reality TV show, and that it was like some points were misconstrued for reality TV, for TV consumption.
Mm-hmm.
Blame it on the edit.
Blame it on the edit, yeah. But I want to say something about the narration real quick. One thing that I loved about this book was that it was Dolores Claiborne. I love the idea of stream of consciousness and reading that. And this book um is her retelling of her being 6 years old as an adult. And what I loved, and I marked it so many times because I loved it, when she's like explaining things in the room and she makes it so serious. She says something like, oh, like, I just needed the extra security. So I went to my serial board box and I typed in everything and made sure that this place was locked down tight. Like, I loved having that childhood imagination put down as so concrete and just like matter of fact, because when she was a kid that age, she believed in
Mm-hmm.
that, and so to her that was real, which makes you think that everything else that she sees she felt as so real. But really, was it? What did she really see?
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think that was like a really like smart and easy way for like adults reading this to understand like what's going through like a kid's mind, which is like sometimes hard as we get older.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I think like it is like a bold choice for like an old man author, not old man, but older man
Old
author
man author.
to write from the perspective of a 6-year-old girl. Like that's definitely can't be easy. And he did it very, very well.
Because I didn't feel 100% safe, so I built a motion detecting surveillance camera and laptop computer out of cereal boxes. I love that.
And it says later too, like, oh, I went and consulted my computer.
Yeah. My
uh,
cereal box computer.
Yeah.
and like what a like smart choice again, like on Paul Tremblay's part, to like give us an unreliable narrator, which is this young child, but then to also have all the events of it documented on film as like proof that it all happened.
Yeah.
So it's like, do we believe the show or do we believe the events happened as it was of the perspective of this unreliable narrator that we have. Because typically I don't love an unreliable narrator. I like honestly hate that trope, but it worked.
And so that being said, this book, just in the very beginning, kind of just captures you right away. You're very charmed by this little girl. And it starts out kind of lighthearted. Like, you in the very beginning, you visit the old house as they are older, so it's like a little creepy, but then you jump right into the memory, and it is just so sweet. She was saying, that was always my sister. There wasn't a time before her. She was just her. And you think, reading that in the beginning, that it's just someone being sweet and saying that, like, my sister was always my sister, when in reality, after reading that ending, you're like, does she think that she was even possessed? Now it's like, there was never a time, because it was fake. She faked it, and she said that throughout. But it has such a beautiful narration, and then it takes the slightest, it's kind of like that offset note in like a scary movie. It gives you that tonal change. And it's when she gets that letter from her sister that it was about the molasses, the sister telling the molasses story and freaking her out. Oh, no, was that when she was in the room already?
Well, the molasses was the first scary one that she started to tell her, and then there was
was
the
that
plant things. Was
in the
was
book,
that the same
right?
time, or was
in
it
the book.
2 different ones?
I think those were 2 different times.
Yeah.
Those were 2
Okay,
different.
so she tells the molasses story, and it's a real story about that big molasses thing in Boston, right? Boston?
Yeah.
So she tells that story, very upsetting. And then she also tells her, like, oh, I come and see you like every night. And so she freaks out a little bit. She's like, please, like, let's not do this anymore. And she leaves a note at her door that says, tonight, now it's your turn to come over. And that to me was where it's like, ooh, I just got chills. We're stepping into a new story, or like we're getting into the storyline.
Yeah, and I think even like going back to the narration too, because I think like when Mary first finds out that her sister's going into her room, it's not like a creepy thing at first. It's more like, oh, like I'm just annoyed my sister's coming in my room. Like how dare, like that's such a classic sibling thing, And it's such like of course she's gonna think that, because obviously the things were beginning to happen. She didn't really know, but
yeah, can we get into like Marjorie a little bit?
Marjorie.
Need to talk about
what do we think about Marjorie?
What a silly girly, honestly.
I love her. I love that bitch.
I have no choice but to stand, to be honest.
I mean, it's so easy in these types of books to like root for the possessed person or the, whoever. Like it's like Carrie, Yeah.
Yeah. She was just so cool, so witty, such a good big sister, to be honest. And just like badass, was ready to take down any priest who came her way. Like I had no choice but to stand. Truly.
I don't think she was that great of a sister. I think she was like very weird toward Mary.
Yeah.
Well, actually, some heavy trauma, poisoning your parents, but
I mean, okay, let me take it back. Okay, what was going on with her was manifesting into like very weird behavior to do like things like toward your sister. Because Gabby, you said that like the note like kind of like freaked you out. What about like, or the turning point of like the book that was like kind of like freaking out, like, oh, like something's like kind of going on right here? Mine was when we like learned that like she like pinched her sister's nose in the middle of the night. Like that gave me chills. I'm like, that's not like, to me, that's like a little psychotic, a little bit. I feel for her, and I really do feel for her, and it's not that I don't like her. I don't agree that she was like this like great person or great sister. I think the great sister part I can't get behind.
She was questionable. I guess it was more of just like her just being like, well, I'm trying to save the family. This is all fake. Like, look what I'm doing. Isn't it like they should be thanking me?
And did you guys
Why would she
believe her
say
when she
that,
said that? Because I did not.
I
yeah,
honestly, I believed her
didn't
at
believe her.
first.
Because she's
And then I
She's sick.
thought it. I did believe her at first,
I
yeah.
kind of believed her. I fully believed her.
Oh yeah, no, I think it's really an interesting story
Marjorie.
because you can read it. You can choose how you want to read it. You can read it with the perspective of a demonic possession, and I'll argue that might make it more like, yeah, um, that might make it
Funny.
that might make it a little more scary. But I think
No.
the way that I just read it, I'm a psych major as well. Like I read it from reading about this mentally ill girl who was failed by her parents by not continuing to seek the help that maybe wasn't helping when she was first going to the doctor, but
Going back to this idea of like, was Marjorie faking? She was like, her shtick was that she was like, mom and dad are in financial crisis. Like, I'm helping them out. This show's gonna get us a lot of money. I'm doing a good thing. Don't tell anyone. Like, keep that on the DL, sis. If that was her goal, right, to make a lot of money and help her parents out, I also firmly believe like she was mentally ill and like had the whole like ending planned. Like that was planned out. And that was her goal ultimately, to like either take her own life or bring her family down with her, but always to spare Mary. She had no intentions of Mary following suit. So what was her motivation for like doing the show and making all that money if she knew she was going to take out her family
exactly.
anyway?
Well, do you think she was gonna like? Do you think that was what she had in mind? Because
Yes.
she was begging,
Mm.
because she was
Yes.
begging Mary to be in the room, and it just so happened that Mary was out of the room when she jumped. It's like, do you think she was protecting her if she was gonna be in the like? What is she protecting her from if she was putting her right in the fire of everybody else? No, she was
Yeah.
full
She said
frontal.
people are gonna get hurt if she's not
Yeah,
in the
she was
room.
like, I will not go where you want me to go. I will not do what you want me to do unless Mary is there and someone will die. And then finally Mary's there and she's like hurting people. She's like, and the mom's like, dude, Mary's here. You said you wouldn't do it. She's like, no. I said if Mary was here, I would only kill one person. And I went, yes, bitch.
Yeah, when she bites the flesh off the priest's arm.
Yeah.
You're right.
So sick.
That was gnarly. Yeah, no, I fully believe her plan the whole time was to take her own life. In one way or another, she was doing it. Maybe her parents were just like collateral damage at the end, but I fully believe her goal, her plan from the first page of that book, she was done by the end.
You think? I think that's interesting just because for me it felt like a lot of her, well, I mean, I guess we didn't know like her plan for suicide, but like it seemed like a lot of that part of the story was tied to the dad's storyline, and because Marjorie kept bringing up to Mary like dad's doing all this stuff, dad's being weird, like um and I feel like that just like progressed as it went. So I guess she could have had the plan too of like of doing that, or if that just kind of happened in the progression of the story as the father did unravel. Um, I don't know, but I also was now questioning too, just because of Marjorie's. She's an unreliable narrator, also, but because of her mental illness, so it's like, obviously we were witnessing the father unraveling, but I think you you can't know for sure if the things that Marjorie was saying about him were true as well, just because like those were things that we didn't see from Mary, and we can't really trust everything that Marjorie says also because she obviously has lied. Um, just the thing about like him planning to poison them to begin with, like, but then again, I don't know where she would have gotten the stuff to use. We'll talk about that too, but
Still on this money thing, because I'm still hung up on this. So, like I said, I fully stand here believing that she had this whole plan in place already. So maybe did she want to do the TV show to leave like Mary like set? Like, here's all this money. I'm gonna take mom and dad with me. We're out of here. Good luck. Like, here's this money. Hope you have a good life, kind of thing. Could be.
I still don't believe that she was putting Mary out of like harm's way, and so like I don't see it.
She deliberately told, like, didn't she tell her not to eat like any of the sauce?
Oh, well, yeah, at the end. Oh, you're talking about the ending as well.
Yeah, I'm still hung up
Okay.
on that.
Yeah, I think she knew that she wasn't gonna. No, yeah, because she's like, I want her in the
The
room to
exorcism,
witness this
though,
horrific
I
event.
I feel you if that's what
Yeah,
you're
that was
doing.
pretty. That was a lot. I'm like, what was the
Yeah.
reason?
Yeah, Mary didn't serve any purpose. She got scared and ran out.
That might kind of follow more along your theory, Stephen, where maybe she wanted Mary to like remember everything that
Ooh, girl, you
happened.
gotta get
So she's like,
traumatized.
she has to be there to see it all happen because
Marjorie didn't give a fuck about like the religious aspect. Like she was like poking fun at it like the whole time. So like maybe she would have rather had her sister believe that she was possessed by demons than
yeah.
actually like struggling with mental illness. Like maybe that was the narrative she wanted to leave her sister with. Maybe like she felt like that was more
Like she was trying to
palatable.
protect her.
She's like, oh, like for her to believe I'm possessed by demons, that is way easier. For like, I would rather her believe that than her believe that I was like this mentally ill person who like couldn't cope.
Yeah.
I would also maybe go a lot like to further that. It's probably easier for her to like also
Yeah.
have fun with it too and not believe it like in herself that something's
She
going
was
on.
having more fun than yeah, when she was having way more fun than when she was seeing the therapist.
Yeah.
She was
That's
missing
why like I
class.
really believe her plan was to take her own life at the end. So like at the time of the exorcism, like when she jumped off the stairs, like she stopped caring. Like she was just she bit that guy's fucking flesh off. Like she stopped giving all fucks. All fucks went out the window. She was like, on my last day on earth, I'm gonna get an exorcism. Fuck it. Let's go. Let's do it, baby.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's like it's just like so subtle with her too, because like that whole part of her biting the guy's arm, like he multiple times was lifting the covers over her, and each time it said he was visibly like scared, like he was trying to stay away.
And then
So
he
I think
was,
she caught on that, and she was like, "I'm gonna fuck with this guy so bad, it's gonna traumatize him
Uh,
forever." And like that's just yeah, like it's fucking great, and
Yeah,
that's
he
the part
she
of her
called people
character I loved.
out
I love her
sometimes.
calling out religion,
yeah.
but uh, just how much she fucked with the priests and her father because of his beliefs were just it was
She's
just
like, you guys didn't study? This was on Google.
Yeah.
she knew everything
Oh yeah, and now he's gonna say we're gonna pray to all the fucking saints, and there's a lot of them.
because
Like
it
that
makes
was
sense.
so.
Like of course, like she's a teenage girl with a computer. You're not gonna research what an exorcism is before you're about to go through one. I would
can
do that.
can I tell you, this was something that I wanted to save until we were at book club. I wanted to tell SJ so
Of
bad
course.
because I thought it was so genius. And now we're here. I love the fact that a demon is possessing a teenage girl. Because let's say we buy into it and it really is a demon. Like, there are so many times it's like, would a demon see that? Yeah. Would a teenage girl, like angsty teenage girl, also say that? Yeah. So, like, is this Marjorie talking right now or is this the demon? Who knows? I loved that. I was like, oh my God, this is the smartest thing to do. It was, I was cracking up.
Can I go back to
Mhm.
Steven's point of like maybe it being like a plan all along? I think maybe why that didn't even cross my mind as we were reading is because I see Marjorie as someone who's like very, very detached from reality. And I struggle like thinking that like someone that detached has like the comprehension skills to like plan out like what they're gonna do next.
Yeah, Mary talks about reading the emails and saying that at first it was all these like hateful messages and it was she was like it was hard for me to read this in my dad's voice and thinking that he was saying these awful things and like he was hearing these awful things back. But there's a point where after this aired that you could tell in his emails that he was just like, yeah, you're right. I'm a piece of shit. I'm a piece of trash. How could I do this? Like I'm a horrible person. And then the guy was like, well, God can save you. He's the only one now. Here's some potassium cyanide or whatever the fuck it was. like go kill your family. And I think they gave no traces to any places near the father that could have sold the poison, but there was a guy that the person that they were emailing, who was one of the protesters, had like a friend who was a pharmacist who had like access to it or something. So you're like, we can't for sure link it because we don't have any like records about any mail, but that's most likely where it came from.
Yeah.
His fingerprints were the only ones that were on it that they could read. The others were smudged.
Marjorie didn't kill her family though. Yes, she
Wow.
did. Mary did.
That was
That
good.
The fact that
fucked
she had her
me
do it.
up.
Yeah.
That was maybe my 5th star.
Which was pretty fucked up.
God.
Which was pretty fucked up. I don't
My
know.
theory is that if there really was a possession, that the transfer of the demon happened during the exorcism before it was completed, and that from every point, because she was so nervous after hearing that, oh, she really did her research, she already has all the police recordings and stuff like that. It's like, did you find the fingerprints or something like that? I think she was worried that if they found the fingerprints on the jar, that it would only show Mary's and her father's, because I don't think Marjorie ever knew about the jar. I think Mary from that point on made it up about the sister coming to her and like, because if you notice throughout the book, Mary at often points when she hears something at first that sounds horrible, she goes, but on second thought, that would be fun. Like, oh, I get it. I get why she did it. Like, do you remember that? Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess that is kind of similar to like how kids think sometimes. I
Yeah.
would say like, oh, that looks sad. But like,
And
no,
but the
like
thing
it
was,
might
she
be
was
fun too.
so
Like,
open to like all of the creepy stuff. And one, just because her sister was also open to it. And she was like, my sister is my future. I'm seeing the future when I look at her. But I just think that she was starting to try her own little prank and killed everybody. And like she didn't tell her sister any. I think that's what happened personally. Because also at the end there's like they're in a coffee shop or whatever, and like it was like super hot and the AC wouldn't turn on, but then they got a cold chill. And it reminds of the room in the during the exorcism, even though the windows were open, but who knows, maybe it was actually the chill of the demon. Yeah, because when they start the exorcism, the priest is like, no one from the family talk to her now. Like, you cannot respond to her. And Mary was the first one to say something to her because she was like, huh? What? She said something like that. And I was like, fuck.
That's right.
That was it.
Wow.
Yep. Because once you talk to a demon, you made a
oh
conversation,
wow.
Yeah, you opened that
Yeah.
pathway. Mhm.
Wow.
Damn.
that's my theory.
Damn, Gabby.
Gabby, I feel like you always have
That's an
these.
interesting way to
I
think of
love
it.
theories. I love also I'm a big character person. I love characters and I loved this book. I mean, I'm going into ratings now, so I'll hold off on that. But one of the things that like just going along with the plot of the book, one of the things that I thought was so oof, like what really tore at my guts. There were jump scares for me in this book. I like audibly yelped at times. Actually, I've seen some of them. But when things are first going down in the beginning with Marjorie, and the dad takes Marjorie to the priest when he told his wife that he was taking her to the doctors. I screamed. I had to put down the book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The audacity of man.
Yeah.
Like how fucked up
No.
is that?
So fucked up. But then the mom was kind of like, I get, like, like at one point the mom was like, I guess we'll try it. Like nothing else was working.
And she even knew like at the end she
Mm,
was just
Jesus.
like this was all my fault. I never should have let you. Like
the mom.
the mom character
Uh,
I like kept in the back of my head, I think, throughout the book. I like saw a lot of change in her as well. I think she like progressively like
Yeah.
just got lower and lower and lower in like hope for her entire family, like not just Marjorie, but like even like she was like losing essentially her husband too because
Yeah.
he was
And
like
she was so
completely
detached from her other child too. She like would cast
also
Mary off.
detached. So it's like, yeah,
And literally, she says that
yeah.
at one point. She's like, I think it's the scene when they're watching TV as a family the night before the exorcism, and Mary says something, and she's like, my mom looked at me for the first time, and as if she remembered I was in the room, or like she remembered I was
Yes.
there, and she like smiled and like hugged her or something, and I was like, yeah, this woman, she's fucking done.
It really gave Superboy and the Invisible Girl.
It was really giving done.
Oh,
I was gonna say Dear Evan Hansen, but same vibe, Gabby. Same vibe.
that scene, that part of the book when that
Yeah,
TV scene
I
when
cried
they're
a
like
little.
the four of them sitting together, that broke my heart a little bit. Yeah, that because like they were
It was
they were
acting
like
like her.
all like shocked that Marjorie like
Yeah.
came into the
Yeah, they had
room, and
Chinese food
it was the night
together.
before the exorcism too. Yeah, that was.
Because it was just like they're
Oh
normal. They were just a
yeah,
normal
yeah. That
family.
was a sad little
Except not
Did
sweet
really.
you
moment. I think like
did you like really anticipate the ending like after post exorcism? Because it was so built up to. Because Mary kept like alluding to like the interviewer Rachel, whatever the fuck her name was. I was like, oh, she's like she's not asking the question yet. And I was like, the question, like, how did the
Mm,
exorcism go? Like, how did Marjorie die? Because they say Marjorie died. I don't know if they said the parents died as well or not early. And then I was just like, what fucking question? It's like, and now we're finally up to the part where Rachel's really here, like the part that she really wants to know about, like what happened the night when I killed my family. And I
yeah.
was like, what the
Yeah.
fuck? I think I literally said that out loud. I was like, damn. I thought like we were ending with the exorcism. No, baby.
that was a jump scare.
No, there's more. That I was like, shit.
She was in that house days.
Yeah, she was living with her dead
She
family
was
for 3
cuddling her
days.
dead mom, her 3-day dead mom. The thumb.
Yeah.
She was sucking her mom's
Yeah,
thumb when her
Kill
aunt
me.
walked in.
that was a visual. You're so right. I
I was
forgot
like,
that. Damn.
I
It
think
was
I read that
giving
in
that was a
Gab.
Pearl.
visual
It was
Yeah.
giving
that
Pearl when she's sitting with her dead parents.
Paul
No,
Tremblay
that
did it
was
first.
crazy.
oh yeah.
That was crazy. I forgot about
Yeah.
that scene.
Yeah.
For me, it was just so sad too.
Damn, so sad.
It was just so sad.
And it was so sad.
So sad.
Like when
It's
it
so
first
sad.
happens, she's like, I did it, Marjorie. Like, your plan's working. Like, what happens next now?
Yeah. Oh, she's gonna wake
And it's
up. She
like,
just ate enough because
Oh,
like
I
she's a big girl and the
know.
poison's gonna go through her. The exorcism was just so fucking good. Starting from the night before. Like starting from them just being a normal family, like that just slice of life break your heart kind of moment. And then she like starts like screaming at all of them. And
Yeah.
oh, you know what I wanted to talk about? That heartbreaking part where they're first like confirming whether or not there's a demon inside of her. And she's just screaming, like asking all those questions. And at first they're like really like stupid and just like angry questions and like being like, do you even know what a soul is? Like have and then she starts oh, sorry, I'm rambling. She starts asking all these questions, and towards the end she's going more in depth and saying, have you ever exorcised a demon? How do you know you've exorcised a demon? Do you know if someone's been exorcised, does it leave a mark? Do the demons scratch the people from the inside? Can you feel it? Like, are they injured? Have you even seen somebody's soul? How do you know that the soul that you exorcised was actually the demons? What if it was the person's soul? Like all of that. Oh, chills down my
Oh yes. Okay.
spine. I just stop right there.
yeah.
Spooky.
And that leads into her revealing
Yeah.
the scratches on her
Spooky.
body, right? Because the
I
Definitely.
believe
part was
so.
pretty visceral.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she was I think she was like
And
still bleeding because
Marjorie
they
was in the
called
room.
for
Or
the
no,
ER or something. Like they ended up taking her to the ER.
Mary was in the room, right? Like Mary in that, like Mary saying she saw her sister's stomach and it was all like scratched up and she was like bleeding.
So that was when they came to her at first and she was like dressed as a reporter and they're like, hey, we have a job
Oh.
for you. Whenever you're in the room, apparently because of what's been going on and like, obviously the video that you captured of your sister like at night, the night that she went into the bathroom and like, saw her sister. Um Apparently the demon is more active when you're around. So can you please be there when we're trying to confirm that this is a demon inside of her and an exorcism is called for? So she enters the room with her, and at any point, she could have left, but she didn't, and she saw her sister's mangled abdomen and saw her fucking going off and just like unhinged. And I think that's no, go.
Yeah, wait. It was that it was the
Mm-hmm.
director reporter guy
Ken.
that like she
Keith?
befriended, gave
Ken.
her that camera. What was his name?
Something like that. Yeah.
Hi,
Ken.
Barbie.
Hi,
Yeah,
Barbie.
Ken
Yeah,
Um,
their relationship was weird.
Yeah.
I was so worried. That
But
was
yeah,
honestly
every
the
time
real
he took her
horror
It
outside
was
to play
weird. It
soccer, I
made me
was like,
uncomfy
what's gonna fucking
sometimes.
happen?
Yeah, I didn't really
Where
trust
are we
him.
going?
I
I
know.
didn't
Because
trust
it's
him at
like
For a second.
all.
he's being made out as like the trustworthy person of the crew, but you can't trust any of the people. He was like one of the screenwriters. Like he's part of the same team that's trying to make your family look this way, you know? And I feel
Yeah.
like he felt bad about it too, like just the way that he would be in the room when they would have those difficult conversations, like the with the director, and he would just be there quiet and not looking at anyone. Like
Mhm.
because yeah. Yeah.
I feel like he definitely took Mary like under his wing a little bit.
No, he
Like
ended up being
he
very
like
sweet,
felt like
but
he
I
like
think it was
Because no
kind of
one
like
else
needed
was
to take
caring
care of
it
for
was
her.
kind of like the barbarian at
her.
beginning where it's like, oh, this guy's a fucking creep. This guy's a fucking creep. And it ends up being like, oh, he was just
Oh
nice.
no.
It
Yeah.
was one of those. I just had the suspense that I had worrying
Yeah.
for her and being
What
like,
does that say
is
about
this
us?
gonna turn so bad? But then it didn't. And that was a weight off my shoulders, but it took way too long for that to. I was on the tip of my toes the whole entire time. I was so scared.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad it
Well,
didn't end up like that.
true. But then, it went from like the relief of, oh, it's okay, it's not that, into like the exorcism and shit. So then it's like, oh, more stuff.
Yeah. Right before the exorcism, Mary is going up the stairs and someone is like leaning on a railing. And she says right before, she's like, oh, don't lean on that. Dad says if you lean on it, you might fall off. And at that moment, I was like, oop, someone's gonna fall off that railing. And she
Gabby
goes,
Mm.
looked
oh,
me dead in the eyes and said, yeah, someone's falling off that railing. No, Gabby's crazy.
Didn't
She
catch
picks up
that.
on everything. It's
Yeah,
wild.
it sounds like it. But I
She
mean,
picked up on like the big plot twist of the stand, like within the first 100 pages.
no,
Good.
within the
Like,
first 2 pages, because they
She's
mentioned the
very smart.
fireplace. And I went, oh, they're probably gonna like someone's gonna probably burn up. So I'm gonna
I think
tab
you
every
literally
time it
said
says fire.
explode.
Yeah.
Yes, no, she literally did. I could vouch for her. She's crazy.
wow.
It was
Spoiler for the
because
stand stuff.
yeah, sorry, my bad.
No, she's just literate, man.
She's a
She
witch.
can read.
I can read.
You are.
No,
Oh,
but it was just
I don't
like I
think
was
I'm
like,
gonna read
fuck,
this
yeah,
one. There's too many.
someone's falling off that railing. Has to. And then when Marjorie jumped off, I screamed. I went
You mean floated?
floated. Oh yeah.
I could just picture it. Like, who didn't like hang off like their railing or like something like off like a fence or whatever like that way? Like all the time you were
Well,
like so
because yeah,
close
it
to
said
like
like you could tell like that she
I
was holding on
you
to
guys
the
know what I'm talking
railing
about?
somehow, right?
Yeah, they were like describing how like oh like if you obviously that like maybe she wasn't actually floating, you could like believe that like if my chair was the railing, her hands were just like on the
Hanging
railing
out.
and she was just like
Mm.
slowly like leaning like hanging
the
out
house.
from the banister.
Yeah.
Very
Honestly,
I
it was giving
picture
House on
Alphaba
Fire.
for
House
me.
very Haunting of Hill House.
She said, "I'm
defying.
defying gravity." Oh no, they
Let her
hung
go.
him, babe. That's
A
different.
little Jesus Christ Superstar.
They hung his ass. They murdered him. Elphaba, she was just reclaiming her power,
They
as
did
was
murder
Marjorie.
As is
Honestly,
Marjorie.
they did murder her, Brody, or did they? You'll have to go see Wicked the musical on Broadway to find out. This actually just turns into a Wicked podcast.
Bird. Your dream.
Hard turn.
Honestly, my real dream. You're right. Anyway, any gay. Let's get back on track here.
Okay.
Yeah, no, she did
Um,
jump.
Oh, also with the exorcism itself, we talked about a little bit, but the skin tearing scene, the biting scene. So with that one, what I thought was great about that was one, the rule of threes. Like everything happens in threes. I loved
Mhm.
that. Two, I just loved the idea of like the cockiness because like you guys said, the first two times he was horrified to move that blanket up, but the third time he was comfortable. He got up close and she was finally like, fuck this cocky son of a
Here he
bitch.
is.
Yeah, he's presenting his arm. I'm gonna give it to him. And the way that they talk about it in the blog, how she like recounts it afterwards, and she's like, there are just some things that you can't watch twice. And like for this, I had to rewatch it. But she was like, even seeing the pixelated version and just seeing the pixelations get bigger because the area of gore just is larger and larger. I was like
Yeah.
imagine if that happened in real life.
Mm.
No, I know. You know what I had to keep reminding myself? I had to keep reminding myself like that the televised version of it was like a big deal. Like this wasn't like a little like Netflix show. Like this was like her childhood. So what, like the 90s, early 2000s when like one
2000s. She was
episode
watching
a
Teen
week was
Titans.
like all of America was tuned in and watching. So like the show they were making was a big deal. Like everyone was watching. It was like American Idol. Like everyone was at home too dead,
Yeah.
which is crazy.
And like having to go to imagine having to go to school and your
Well, she
family's
stopped going
yeah,
eventually.
I wouldn't go. Fuck
Well, they
that.
talked about like the school had an anti-bullying policy, so they had to like protect Mary, even though like even the school people didn't agree.
Yeah. Oh, they like the she talks about how she got bullied.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. So like it was like growing up, it was horrible for her for sure.
yeah. Mary really was the victim, but I'm sure she got a lot of fucking money.
I'm sure she got a lot of sympathy after everyone died. She
That,
probably
but she
lived with it for
collected both
like
her
3 more
parents' life
months.
insurance
Oh,
and whatever royalties of the TV show. Girl was set. I mean, you
Who,
can't
Mary?
Mary,
Mary's writing a blog post for a living. I think she's
Oh,
okay. You know,
absolutely.
if
but
she can live
also
off of
like
that,
yeah, but the trauma of her having to suck on her dead mom's thumb for 3 days, you can't put a price on that.
priceless. Priceless.
God,
And that
that's
was kind of
fucked
fucked
up.
up.
Oh, that's good.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
I kind of loved her book.
I did just want
Yeah,
to read.
this book.
I just wanted to read the quote of her biting the guy's arm because I just really liked this description.
Yeah.
I was trying to find it. Okay, so um, Dad Dad pulled Marjorie back, and her mouthful of flesh was
Kill
still
me.
tethered to Father Gavin's arm by a thin rope of skin that stretched out like taffy. Father Wanderley pushed the younger priest off the bed, and that spaghetti strand tore down the entire length of his forearm, all the way to the elbow.
You know what that probably was? The ulnar nerve. I think it
We
was.
don't know what that is.
Oh,
I
it's like your funny bone,
oh ow.
that nerve. I think that's what it was. When I read that, I went, oh
Ooh,
no.
Oh,
tingly.
Bad.
Yeah.
I like taffy, skin
Oh,
peeling like
I slept with that
taffy.
for a little bit.
That
I
is
was
a
like,
visual I just like did not need.
Yeah.
yeah.
And then she gets up and spits
Out
all
of
his
like
blood
grilled
out.
cheese,
I mean, what's
Yeah.
she gonna do? Swallow?
like the cheese pulling.
Fucking quitter.
I ain't got nothing to say to that.
You know what else
Better
stuck with me for a
swallow.
long time? Backtracking a
What?
little bit. Do you remember when when Mary first told on Marjorie, and Marjorie was like, "Because of you, Mom doc took me to Dr. Hamilton and now they're gonna put me on more meds." She was like, "If you ever tell on me again, I'm going to rip out your tongue."
Yeah.
That and her explaining it, and her like at the very end of that chapter,
Oh
like, you
yeah,
think everything's good
yep.
because
That
then she
was
like,
not cool.
is that when she's, no, it's a different time, but like a lot of time happens in between, and like you think that Mary kind of has forgotten it, and she's kind of just standing there. She's like, and so I think about what or how I would like talk about this if I didn't have my tongue. Something like that. She was like,
Yeah.
she's gonna fucking rip out my tongue. I know she is.
It's
Like
fucking
that.
terrifying.
Also,
I loved her.
older child syndrome for sure. Like, oh my God. Older siblings are very much not to that extreme, but like to terrify their little siblings and going to
Yeah.
those kind of extremes. Yeah, no, that was very,
No, there's a line,
yeah.
and Marjorie
What
crosses
about
it
the?
many, many times.
I was just gonna say, like, when they're
Like I
in the
get it, like
basement and
if
she's
they,
just straight
yeah.
up with her, just being like, "Oh no, I'm
No, go ahead.
faking all
No.
this." Like that. I loved that. She's like, "No, this is all fake.
Mm.
Like I'm pretending,
And
right?
Mary's
Like
like,
you know
oh,
that,
okay.
right?"
But then Mary says something. She's like, later on, she says something that's like, can someone be faking it and still be possessed by a demon? She was like, there are points where she felt like her sister was not faking it.
Yeah.
And she asked herself that. She's like, is there a chance that my
Yeah.
sister could be faking it and not faking it at the same time? Which again, buying into that possession story, I was like, fuck yeah.
Fucking wild.
I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I loved this book so much.
Side.
For
Oh, I wanted
sure.
to talk about the dad for a quick second.
Yeah.
And him, just like that twist of him being the one that is what's it called? He was the star of the show basically, and why it became famous. Like, at first the gore factor of the exorcism was the big hit, but then they talk about how people know the documentary and watch the documentary for the falling of the father and seeing this, like, and I actually marked, like, because it happened 2 or 3 times, but I marked it the last time because I thought it was sad. But young Mary is just like, dad is so fun sometimes. Like when he is fun, he's fun. And he's like, no one was funnier or more fun to play with than he was in the right mood. No one was funnier or more fun to play with than he was when in the right mood, and you could feel the barometric pressure drop when he wasn't. Like for a little kid to recognize that, and she only knew him for 3 months, so she really only knew him till he was 7, or she was 7. So for her to know that about her dad from such a young age and being one of the things that she remembers about her father, like really sad.
Really sad.
Hmm.
And like just the fall and like, him, I
Yep.
mean,
Really,
he I
really
guess
sad.
had nowhere else to turn to but religion, and look where it fucking got him.
Yeah.
But he was just, I hope that he was just trying to kill everyone in the end and that he was actually just a monster. But it was sad reading that. And I mean, I fucking hated him. But yeah. But read all those like little parts when it's like, damn, when they were like a normal
The dad.
family, like she was happy. She was happy with them
Yeah.
before the dad went into religion. They were
Yeah.
happy.
No, I mean, from the beginning to the end is a huge difference. From an actual loving family to, was the father trying to kill them? Like,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And same like we said earlier too, even about the mom's evolution too. I just think it was really just like I'm a big fan of characters too, like and just being able to see so many different characters in such a short book have so many different such like very different arcs. Um just testament of how much I loved this book. Do we want to give our ratings? What are we thinking, guys?
5, obviously. Yes, 100% do again, would read again.
Yeah, I have to. Yeah, I'm
Wow,
changing my Goodreads from a
conversion.
4 to a 5.
That's what book club's for.
Yeah,
That's why I
What are you
wait
up,
Conversion.
till
Brody?
Wait a second.
exorcism, man.
Yeah, that's what we're all about here at House of a Thousand
Happy
Books.
Pride Month.
conversion. Um
Yeah, I won't rest.
um yeah, no, that's why I wait till rate until we talk. I'm gonna give this a 5.
Ooh,
Absolutely.
okay. I normally
I
would
mean,
feel
sweet.
peer pressure, but I don't in this situation. I think I'm still like on like my 4.5 kind of wavelength. I really liked it. I really, really, really liked it. Typically, exorcisms are not my thing. I really enjoyed how this exorcism played out. But I think just like upon first finishing it, I was just like, oh, that was cool. And like didn't really think about it anymore. And I would say if it's a 5 star, I'll just know it. Like I would never question it.
Yeah.
So I think four, what did we say? 4.25. Let's meet in the
Yeah,
middle.
fair.
4.25, final rating. Yay. Another
Woo!
good pick. Two really
Yeah,
good
Wow,
picks in a
another
really?
row.
successful.
Thanks for listening. This has been House of a Thousand Books. Join us next time for Eric LaRocca's You've Lost a Lot of Blood.